Good morning and welcome to Period 1 English. Now, S1. For the last week, we've been doing a short story called Thrawn Janet, which is by Robert Louis Stevenson. And we've been doing a task that comes from about the middle of the story. Now, Thrawn Janet, as you remember, is about a woman who is possessed by the deil, that's the devil. And she walks around kind of like a zombie. The other character in the story, or main character, is Mr Soulis, who is the minister. And we did a task earlier in the week where Mr Soulis met Janet and she looked absolutely horrible. She looked like a zombie. She was very, very scary. We're now going to cut to the end of the story. Now, this might be a bit of a challenge. I'm going to read you the whole of the ending of the story. It is in full Scots. Up until now, I know we've only looked at small amounts. I hope that's not going to be too challenging for you. And another warning, it also might be a little bit scary, so watch out for that. Now, just to give you a bit of context before I start, Mr Soulis has just found the corpse of Janet hanging in an upstairs room, but I think he's too afraid to go to sleep. He's decided to wait up through the night, and that's kind of where the story picks up. Okay. Let's find out what happens at the end of Thrawn Janet. He maybe a stood there an hour, or maybe twa, he minded sae little, when all of a sudden he heard a lay, uncanny steer upstairs, a foot gae to and fro in the chamber where the corpse was hanging. Syne, the door was opened, though he minded weel that he had locked it, and syne, there was a step upon the landing, and it seemed to him as if the corpse was looking o'er the rail and doon upon where he stood. He took up the candle again, for he couldna want the licht, and as softly as ever he could, gaed straight out the manse and to the far end of the causeway. It was aye pit mirk. The flame of the candle, when he set it on the ground, burnt steady and clear, as in a room. Naething moved, but the jewel water seeping and sabbing down the glen, and yon unhaly footstep that came plodding down the stairs inside the manse. He kenned that foot o'er well, for it was Janet's, and at ilka step that came a wee thing nearer, the cold got deeper in his bones. He commended his soul to him that made and keepit him, and said, "O Lord, give me the strength this night to ward against the powers of evil." By this time, the foot was coming through the passage by the door. He could hear a hand skirt along the wall, as if the fearsome thing was feeling for its way. The socks tossed and mained together. A lang sigh came over the hills. The flame of the candle was blown about, and there stood the corpse of Thrawn Janet, wi' her grogging gown and her black mutch, wi' the head aye upon the shither and the gurn still upon the face o' it. Leaving, you would have said, deed, as Mr Soulis well kenned, upon the threshold of the manse. It's a strange thing that the soul of a man should be thurled into his perishable body, but the minister saw that and his heart didna break. She didn't stand there lang. She began to move again and come slowly towards Mr Soulis where he stood under the socks. All the life of his body, all the strength of his spirit were glowering frae his een. It seemed she was going to speak, but wanted words, and made a sign with the left hand. There come a clap o' wind like a cat's foof. Out gaed the candle. The socks screeched like folk, and Mr Soulis kenned that, live or die, this was the end of it. "Witch! Beldam! Devil!" he cried. "I charge you by the power of God, be gone, if you be dead, to the grave, if you be damned, to hell." And at that moment, the Lord's ain hand, out of the heavens, struck the horror where it stood, the old, deed, desecrated corpse of the witch wife, sae lang keep it frae the grave, and hurtled round by deils, lowered up, and fell in ashes to the ground. The thunder followed, peal on darling peal, the raring rain upon the back of that, and Mr Soulis louped through the garden hedge and ran, wi' skellich upon skellich, for the clachan. That same morning, John Christie saw the man in black pass the muckle cairn, as it was chapping 6. Before echt, he gaed by the change house at Knockdow, and not long after, Sandy McClellan saw him going linking doon the braes frae Kilmerky. There's little doubt but it was him that dwelled sae lang in Janet's body. But he was a wa at last, and syne the devil has never fashed us and Beweary. But it was sair dispensation for the minister. Lang he lay raving in his bed, and frae that hour to this, he was the man ye ken to the day. And that is the end of Thrawn Janet. Right at the end, you hear that there was this man in black that was seen sprinting out of town at the end, and we're meant to know that was the devil. And after that, although the town was fine, Mr Soulis was crazy, mad forever. Thank you very much, guys, and you'll get your tasks in the next video.